Thank you, Peter. I have no idea what you said, but it sounded really good. Thank you also for the invitation to come here and participate in Rapperswiler Club. It's a really great opportunity to be on this side of the country and to meet some of you and to get a chance to see the work, really interesting work that's being done by our colleagues. Before I begin, I'd like to bring to your attention, I'd like to plug my ongoing research project, Teragrams. Teragrams is a podcast series disseminating discussions about the landscape by providing a wide portal into landscape architecture and the lives and thoughts of the professionals who shape it. The Teragrams' voices include landscape architects, planners, geographers, curators, authors, academics, and historians from professionals including our own local Stefan Roxler, Kong Jung-Yu of Beijing, James Corner of New York, the late Figueres of Barcelona, Michael van Gezel of Amsterdam, Christina Jensen of Denmark, and Antje Stock of Germany. Thank you in advance for taking the time and taking a look at the project and having listened to the Teragrams. Within our Swiss borders, strong contrasts of geology, geography, history, culture, and traditions collide and exist within hyper-close proximity. This encounter of extremes, especially in the landscape provides obvious richness, while at the same time heightens one's awareness and appreciation of these polarities. Mountain versus flatlands, fluids, solids, farmed, managed, rural, urban. The compressed seam between these polarities can be volatile and highly contested, as it is the threshold between the past and the present, between tradition and modernity. This is the where and how much of our work takes root, aiming to strike the right balance between respect for the place and its past, while concurrently building a contemporary practice via public interventions of our time and of our context. Within our studio, our conceptual process is one along these lines of contrast. It is a process of both and rather than either or. We combine polarities rather than accept them as mutually exclusive. We draw inspiration from tradition, but we're also trying to innovate. We learn from and strengthen natural systems, but of course we're also acknowledging human intervention. We use abstract, yet at the same time figuratively resonant formal language. We aim to create sober, yet also sensual environments. Ours is an isolated yet mobile office. Our base is located in the Swiss Prealps, as I think Peter had mentioned, at the altitude of 1,000 meters in the parsonage of Rougemont, a small village of 900 people. As an antidote to this remoteness, we've traveled regularly to the center of Barcelona, where our small satellite office, used intermittently, has allowed us to follow a body of Spanish work. Although we have, in fact, done the inverse, I encourage you to set roots in the city and visit the country. Work on landscape, the city, and temporary places, and explore the intersection between these realms. As they are important to the design process. Travel by foot, bike, train, bus, boat, or even plane if you have to. Spatial transitions offer geographic and cultural shifts and inevitably catalyze new thoughts and inspirations. Pursue invention, but follow a thorough and cogent analysis. Ascribe to no predetermined design approach. Reinvent the process, your process, and let it surprise you. Today, for my concise presentation, I propose a list of operations, our operations, that's a manifesto of sorts. It has helped us to articulate our motivations and beliefs, and becomes embedded within our daily practice. It also helps to inform both our teaching as well as our very constant learning. So here we go. Here are our top 10. Start with the ground plane. The ground represents the point of departure. Site topography establishes the fundamental conditions of place. It is the first to get disrupted during construction and the last thing to be reshaped. It provides great design opportunities that stretch well beyond problem solving. Be aware of its potential and don't waste it. Often established as an obligatory part of the construction budget for a building, a reshaped ground plane can be easy to finance. The ground plane allows us to control, to manage, to carefully manipulate the movement of water. It gives us an immediate spatial structure and connects us to the geography of the place. It is nearly permanent, long outlasting flowers and shrubs and trees and benches and even light fixtures. Reinterpret the mundane. Rely upon the observation of historic and contemporary models of constructed space and landscapes to generate new ones. Study the local technique and craft, methods, materials, surfaces, social habits, and rituals. Absorb the ordinary qualities of a place, mutate and hybridize its typical condition. Beautify the banal. Everyday life is the ground from which modest pleasures are harvested. By bringing a new twist to mundane or banal experiences, we can infuse the quotidian with elements of surprise, of discovery, of wonder, and sometimes of humor. Introduce a prototype. An idea needs to be worked out in your head, on screen or paper, and then, whenever possible, test it at full scale, as close to it as possible. Find ways to introduce design elements which can be tested as prototypes and developed later on. Begin small and consider future incrementation in a modular fashion. Parts should fit together and grow. Be opportunistic and develop and disseminate a prototype when possible. Have fun. Make places that support play and encourage interaction. Stimulate curiosity, surprise someone, surprise yourself. Take pleasure in your work so that others will recognize it when they experience it. And especially, above all, enjoy your work. Find a way to graft your personal pleasures with your professional pursuits. Manage water, grow food. Richard Foreman, professor of landscape ecology at Harvard, includes water, food, and nature as the three most valuable land uses, or three most valuable assets. The landscape is a machine to encourage social exchange, to clean and protect our water, and to provide our nourishment. As landscape architects, these are fundamental components and must help us form our spaces. Water is our most endangered resource and remains one of our most important materials. It can cause a great deal of trouble, but can also bring its equivalent dose of joy. Use it to shape our spaces. Control it, retain it, reveal it, recirculate it, and reuse it. The domains of agriculture and urbanity have been traditionally perceived as mutually exclusive, separate, despite their extreme interdependence. In recent years, a burgeoning grassroots movement has emerged with the aim of reintegrating agriculture into the life and the health of the city. For too long, the practices of landscape and urban planning and landscape architecture have literally ignored this productive territory. The time is ripe for more innovative spatial solutions to the possibility of grafting food with urbanism. We must examine the overall impact of food on urban design and to study the potential of new architectural and landscape strategies for the integration of food production, processing, distribution, and consumption in the contemporary city, through modifications of private gardens, public spaces, rooftops, balconies, and residual land. We can bring food back into the city. Construct overlapping systems. When landscape systems overlap and are revealed, the result is not only heightened experience, but also greater coherence and synchronicity of parts: earth, plant, water, steel, stone, sky. Separation is clear, overlap is complex, but often more interesting and fluid. Systems interweave into symbiotic entities, enriching and strengthening the entire organism. Work at multiple scales. Practice on a wide variety of dimensions, from a bench to a regional planning study. The mental gymnastics of simultaneously developing ideas, traversing scales, is vital. Work not from within the design disciplines, but across them. Approach the macro and micro scale concurrently and with the same level of attention. Multi-scale is shifted during the process of design informs a project's components and entire systems. Landscape is all-encompassing, yet we encounter it through our body. The mind aims to understand and imagine the macro scale, the geomorphological forces, the hydrological and ecological systems, and the cultural, political, and economic history. But in the end, our job is to shape spaces that our senses and minds will inhabit, so large-scale intuitions and interpretations need to find coherence at the micro and mesoscales. With a handrail we reach for so as to help us cross the water without falling in. With a bench, we sit on differently depending on our age, health, or culture. Or with a floor surface that we feel underfoot, which might attract our eyes to a different horizon. Between landscape and architecture. Don't limit yourself to the threshold of the built world, and don't limit architects to their buildings. By working in between, together we can generate spaces of connectivity, which doesn't imply sameness. Work in a collaborative, multidisciplinary environment, searching to understand and expand the overlaps between inside and outside, between built and unbuilt, natural and man-made. Search for a diverse array of work that obliges you to understand the intersection of these professions. This intersection is not obvious. Limited budgets, incomplete base information, lack of time, and too often, and very too often, territorial control between practitioners, architects, engineers, and landscape architects fighting over the same surface. These constrain professionals to naturally work safely within their traditional boundaries. Expand these boundaries, evaporate the limits, share the space that falls between. Inform the built mass through environmentally sustainable solutions, strong conceptual gestures, and innovative detailing. Deploy a strategy of ongoing research to expand your knowledge. Landscape can and will drive architecture and urbanism. The architecture profession has been effective at showing how this is done. Now it's time for us to continue to contribute to this dialogue. Encourage density. In Switzerland, we're presently faced with the difficult task of explaining to the public that denser cities are healthier cities. Many citizens are deeply skeptical and continue to yearn for their individual patch of grass, private garden, and detached villa. One of our greatest challenges in this world with shrinking resources is to prove with concrete, finite examples that the perceived negative attributes arriving with the densification of our neighborhoods are easily offset by new urban quality. In this mode, we must rethink our work, repackage our landscapes, and demonstrate that our profession, our professional input, is in fact increasing urban quality, with a clear message based on the social, economic, aesthetic, and environmental gains. The profession, our profession, can drive this movement. But to do so, we must convince developers, politicians, and neighbors that shared, well-designed, well-constructed space is better space. Then we'll be permitted to continue densifying our Swiss villages and cities. And finally, do it again. Never tire of trying to do better at something you've done before. Some of the best things in life are repetitive, but they need not become routine. Repeat yourself. Improve your work. Revisit, rethink, and revise. Thank you for your attention.